Ням-ням-ням-ням. Нет, я так сейчас... Я еще не кушал даже сегодня. Что-то, да. Вроде посмотреть хоть что написано. Что там? А, да. Это просто старый язык, старость. А, ну да. Да. Да, тряпка. Да, ну она плавно играет, плавно, да. А, ну да. Ой, там опять был. Сейчас телефон выйдет. Это что такое тут? А, русское видео смотреть? Заблокировали все. А чем мне это смотреть-то? Да?
Жизнь, как чашка отличного Коста кофе, всегда наполовину полная. И всегда можно сварить еще. Коста кофе наполняет оптимизмом. Сварите дома.
посякий как. Ну так молодцы. Молодой просто. Да. А вот это есть на самом деле. Я понял вас, понял. Закричал, ладно. Не знаю. Да, вот это есть.
Смотри, это беспроводной пауэрбанк, который мы производим под своим брендом. Его себестоимость, включая доставку, 1000 рублей. А вот мы продаем его на топовых маркетплейсах. Озон, Беру, Wildberries и другие. И самое приятное в том, что он продается на полном автомате. Независимо, где я нахожусь, мне не нужно прикладывать никаких усилий, продажи идут сами собой. И ты...
You've probably seen the news. Just a few weeks ago, Facebook announced that they're changing their company name to Meta because they're planning on building something called the Metaverse. I don't think enough people are talking about this. The Metaverse is going to change my life. It's going to change your life. So we need to understand what it is, why people are excited about it, but then also how it has the potential to end society as we know it. The concept of the metaverse is this. Throughout history, we have constantly been moving towards more and more engaging mediums. We've gone from text to photo to video. We've gone from reading books and papers to now spending most of our spare time watching TikToks on the internet. And the metaverse is what comes next. An internet that you're not just looking at through a screen, but that you're actually inside of. Take anything you could think of doing right now. Shopping, chatting with friends, meditating to ASMR videos on YouTube. And now imagine that in the time it takes you to just snap your fingers, you could be doing that thing in a way that feels real, with other people who feel present in a setting that's whatever you want it to be. A living, shared, everlasting, virtual universe. That's Meta's vision of the metaverse, achieved through a combination of augmented reality and virtual reality, which they've said that they will subsidize the cost of in an effort to get as many people on this planet to be a part of the metaverse. And in case I wasn't clear, this is pretty damn cool. Then there are some undeniable positives. Like, just to get the obvious out of the way, the metaverse will allow you to live out your fantasies. In one single evening, you could be slaying enemies in hand-to-hand combat. You could be playing a quiet game of chess on the streets of New York and surfboarding across the tropics of the Bahamas. All with incredible realism, but at the same time the reassurance that you yourself are safe at home. And on a similar note, there is also a comfort to the idea that you'll also be able to express yourself however you want to. You know how now you have a profile picture for your social media accounts? The image that represents you to other people. Well, in the metaverse, you won't just have an image, you will have an avatar. A fully three-dimensional living depiction of you, but you in the way that you would want to be. Did you ever wish you were 3 inches taller? Now you can be. Did you ever wish you had a bigger forehead? Now you can have one. You can be any gender you want, you can be any race you want, you could be any creature you want. Yes, Milo, I choose you. And to be very clear, longer term, your avatar is not going to look like these cartoon people. I think they just use them to make it seem a little bit less creepy. The truth is, though, Meta is also working on the tech to create completely lifelike avatars, fully rendered with every hair on their head and every pore on their skin. This is not a game. This will feel like real life. And what I'm saying is that this realism, combined with the sheer amount of choices you'll get, will allow you to feel like you're not being constrained by the body that you are physically born into. In real life, you could be someone with a severe disability in a wheelchair, but in the metaverse, forget walking, you could be able to fly. And if you are enjoying this video, then a sub to the channel would be uplifting. On the subject of flight though, I've always dreamed about the idea of teleportation. Because I'm always trying to be as efficient as possible with my time, being stuck in traffic jams kind of horrifies me. But in the metaverse, there's going to be a relic of the past. Each person will have their own home space. You create the aesthetic that you want others to see, and then you can invite people to just appear within it. Wait, what the? Teleportation will be the equivalent of just clicking a link in your browser now. Practically instant. And if you compare that to the concept of real teleportation, of literally deconstructing every atom in a person's body at one point in time, and then recreating them somewhere else, I think one of those two options is more likely to be the future of transport. And it's not the real one. Besides, if we are moving towards the metaverse, and if all interactions are going to happen virtually anyways, we wouldn't even want to physically teleport. We'd want to be at home with our headsets.
Oh my god, I'm lost, man.
And it's not just travel that will speed up massively, it's also learning. You know how now we look at libraries as really open space? You create the aesthetic that you want others to see, and then you can invite people to just appear within it. Wait, what the? Teleportation will be the equivalent of just clicking a link in your browser now. Practically instant. And if you compare that to the concept of real teleportation, of literally deconstructing every atom in a person's body at one point in time and then recreating them somewhere else, I think one of those two options is more likely to be the future of transport. And it's not real. Besides, if we are moving towards the metaverse, and if all interactions are going to happen virtually anyways, we wouldn't even want to physically teleport. We'd want to be at home with our head. Besides, if we are moving towards the metaverse, and if all interactions are going to happen virtually anyways, we wouldn't even want to physically teleport. We'd want to be at home with our headsets.
Oh my god, I'm lost, man.
And it's not just travel that will speed up massively, it's also learning. You know how now we look at libraries as really old-fashioned? Because, like, why would you try and find out info from a book when you can Google exactly what you want? Well, the metaverse is going to make Googling it seem just as old-fashioned. You'll be able to learn about things by just touching them, or even, hell, looking at them, and you'll be able to obtain that information in a more visual, interactive way than we've ever seen before. You'll be able to travel not just to any place, but also to any time. The Industrial Revolution, ancient Rome, the dinosaurs. Being able to actually experience living with the dinosaurs, can you imagine? And hey, if you can learn faster, you can also do things faster. I think the metaverse is going to make us even more productive. Take the current situation. A lot of us now are working from home. I mean, to be honest, I never really had a proper job, but you know what I mean. Well, in the metaverse, we'd still be doing that, but it could also mean that you could always be in your most optimal environment, whether that's surrounded by others or completely alone, whether that's in an office in outer space or sitting in a magical jungle, whether you're surrounded by Beethoven's symphony while you work or just like the sound of silence. It's up to you. Plus, the tech will allow us to input faster. A lot of us have grown up writing everything with pens. Nowadays, people are shifting to tapping things on keyboards. In the metaverse, we'll be using voices, gestures, and even making things happen by just thinking about them. I'm not joking. Meta is working now on electromyographic, or EMG, input devices, which can detect and intercept the impulses in your nerves, the signals from when your brain is telling, for example, what your fingers, what they should be doing, and translate those signals to the corresponding actions in a virtual space. Or in other words, you will be able to send a message to someone by just thinking about moving your fingers. You won't even need to physically move them. And this metaverse hardware, it's not as far off as you think. Fun fact, next year, Meta is coming out with a headset, currently being codenamed Project Cambria, which in one fell swoop will apparently solve two of the biggest current barriers to the metaverse. One, that it will be comfortable enough, and the display will be sufficiently close to the resolution of your eyes that you won't feel like you're wearing a headset. And two, it'll be able to track your facial expressions in real time, which, if pulled off correctly, will mean you'll be able to have conversations with realistic body language in a virtual space. So, these are the obvious benefits from the metaverse: experiences, expression, teleportation, knowledge, and productivity. But there's also a couple of potentially unexpected ones, like the environment. See, producing real products is really inefficient. The production of a real car, for example, can quite easily result in 20 tons of carbon dioxide emissions. The production of a virtual car? 0.00000000000000000. You name a number, 1. And that gap in emissions only gets greater when you start to talk about potentially using that car. I totally get that the idea of a virtual car sounds very odd and not at all comparable, but think about it. In the metaverse, we have teleportation. Both virtual cars and physical cars are just as useless as each other. You'd only drive one if you specifically fancied a drive, not actually to get anywhere in particular. And so, what I'm saying is that it's quite likely that the more users that join the metaverse, the more we shift towards purchasing digital goods and digital experience. And so, the fewer planes, trains, cars, ships, delivery vans we're going to use, and thus our impact on the planet might well nosedive.
I'm Nick Nimitz. Simon, and I'm a StreamYard user. For the last 6 years, I've been live streaming consistently to YouTube and Facebook and everywhere else on the internet that would have me. And during that time, I've had the opportunity to use pretty much all the live streaming software that's available. Once I discovered StreamYard and found how easy it is, I was sold right out of the gate.
Ничто не может остановить Павла Дурова в его стремлении сделать человечество еще чуточку свободнее. Ни американская администрация, ни блокировка на территории России не воспрепятствовали Телеграму запустить уникальную систему автоматической торговли. Этот сервис реально может помочь каждому успешно торговать на бирже и стать финансово независимым. Искусственный интеллект система анализирует информацию о банках, инвестиционных фондов и трейдеров.
And the final kind of exciting thing is that the metaverse will also be a new economy. The Meta is developing a store within it called Horizon Marketplace, which is not just them selling stuff to us, but a platform where anyone could be a seller. You could create virtual clothing. You could craft a new virtual experience and charge people to try it. You could design a completely new world, anything. And you're no longer constrained by the physical materials you can get hold of. Only your imagination.
А, да, что у нас? Да-да-да. Да, ну да, да, вот она это имеет в виду, а денег платить не будешь, да, ну вот она имеет в виду. Да. Ой, где это я? Что-то я делал такое. Опять зависнешь. Да нет, наоборот.
Спасибо вам, что вы присылаете всякие разные обучающие материалы. Только мне единственная просьба, можно присылать по одной ссылке. Не так сразу много, просто мы не успеваем все просматривать. По одной ссылке говорите, для чего это. Потому что мы просто, даже мы как родители не успеваем это все просматривать. Спасибо вам большое, до свидания.
Ладно. Да наоборот. Ладно, я понял. Ну вот она о себе так говорит. Oh, thank you. Gotta go. Thank you.